The chairperson can proudly say that the country being represented by the chair today, Norway, is one of the leading countries in the world to ensure protection of the migrant community by comprehensive agendas and ministries in place. Imagine migrating to a country and getting killed the next day. And this is not even a situation to imagine, because this is what is happening in the real world out there. This is because of spread of xenophobia. And to enlighten the minds of those who don't know what xenophobia is a term used for the dislike or fear of people from other countries. It is basically the dislike towards immigrants. What needs to come to an end is xenophobia. This fight is huge than what it is seeming to us. In the words of the Prime Minister of Norway, Erna Solberg, Los migranterio separar mejor de nosotros, donde has estado Norway trabajo de anoche, which means that migrant workers are the better part of us. They work day and night, and without them, Norway cannot function. The chairperson does not want to prolong this summon, but can only express hope that coming together of today's committee is going to yield positive results. We collectively have to work together to bring about a change in today's world. And to the delegates of member nations, please remember that building a robust economy always requires migrant workers of all types, and that is not going to change anytime soon. What can be changed is the condition of the migrant community. Building a happy migrant community requires assurance of social security and protection of their rights. Assurance and protection of their rights requires comprehensive agendas and ministries to be in place. Comprehensive agendas and ministries to be in place can only be set up by efficient leaders, and an efficient leader has two hallmarks. The first hallmark of an efficient leader is communication of ideas, and the chairperson is confident that 74th session of ILO is going to be no exception. And the second hallmark of an efficient leader is deploying love, and love lies within ourselves. Because while collecting million tons of gold from the sidewalk, we cannot forget million tons of diamond which lie inside us. Please remember. Thank you very much. All the delegates of the member nations, please pay attention. Yes, the delegate of Panama.
Delegate of Panama would like to raise a point of appeal to request the committee to observe a minute of silence for all the souls lost during the migration of Syrians and Africans through the Mediterranean Sea recently.
All the member nations are requested to please rise and observe a minute of silence. Yes, the delegate of Bhutan.
The delegate of Bhutan seconds the point said by the delegate of Panama, and would also like to ask that the delegate of Bhutan seeks permission from the chair for 1 minute of condolence for the 391 people who met death due to the wildfire in Southern California on December 2017.
Yes, delegate of Namibia.
The delegate of Namibia also seconds the point of appeal made by the delegates of Panama and seconded by the delegate of Bhutan, and also requests a 1 minute silence for the lives lost due to the people who died in the recent devastating earthquake and tsunami that occurred in Indonesia, and where more than 300,000 migrants were forced to flee their homes.
All the delegates are requested to observe a minute of silence. Thank you, delegates. Thank you, delegates. All delegates can be seated. We'll now be moving towards the roll call. The delegates are reminded to please reply by saying present and voting when the rapporteur calls out the name of their specific country.
The delegate of Australia.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Bhutan.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Canada.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Germany.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Morocco.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Namibia.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Panama.
Present and voting.
The delegate of Uruguay.
Present and voting.
Thank you, delegates. Moving ahead, it is the time for us to set the agenda for today's discussion. But since we have only one agenda for discussion, and that is ensuring social security and protection of the migrant workers, we'll discuss the same. Are there any objections on the floor regarding this?
Seeing no other objections on the floor, this assembly is now proceeding towards a formal debate. Delegates who wish to enroll themselves in the general speakers list may raise their placards. Delegates who wish to set a speaker's time can raise their placard. Yes, the delegate of Bhutan.
The delegate of Bhutan would like to set the time for 3 minutes.
This motion shall be voted in the House. Delegates in favor of this motion can raise their placards. With absolute majority, this motion is carried forward. Delegates who would like to open the speakers list, the delegates of the member nations are reminded to please raise their placards once the speaker finishes speaking. Delegates wishing to open the speakers list, please raise their placard. Yes, delegate of Panama.
Ranking 66th in the HDI index with 9.7% in human security. Unfortunately, due to flood of migrants from South America and a geographically intensive location, Panama has been facing a hard time keeping pace with human security. This is where the ILO steps in. Panama has been an ILO member since the League of Nations in 1919, keeping in mind the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The government of Panama with the ILO has launched several plans and policies to solve the country's problems of migration crisis, lack of humanitarian attention, and social security. And some of the major ones are the Decent Work Pilot Program of 2007, which is implemented by the ILO to demonstrate inclusive growth by including employability, poverty reduction, and social security into all political and social policies of the country. The Free Regularization and Awareness Law 25 of 2008 was implemented by the ILO to provide and include refugees fully into the society. According to the UNSCR, this law has provided permanent resident status to more than 70% of migrants from South and Central America. The Social Security and Welfare Scheme of 2008 was implemented by the ILO and the Ministry of Social Development, or MOSD, to provide protection to all illegal migrants in the country by protecting them from disability, maternity, old age, and sickness. According to the MOSD, this law has provided protection and increased it to more than 40%. The Operation Control Law of 2016 was implemented by the ILO to provide humanitarian attention to all the irregular migrants in the country. According to the International Organization for Migration, this law has provided humanitarian assistance to more than 9,000 migrants each month. Because of all these various steps taken by the government, the delegate believes and aims that the country will provide a 100% protected and a secure society for migrants to live in. But more importantly, the delegate requests the member nations of ILO and Central and South America to come together and make a society with equal opportunities for migrants to live in. Let the delegate conclude by stating that as long as we look on migration as a problem, as something to solve, we are not going to get anywhere. We have to look at it as a human reality. As world leaders, we have to find a way to manage it. The delegate yields to the chair.
Is the delegate open to any points of information?
Yes.
How many total?
2 in total.
Are there any points of information on the floor? Yes, the delegate of Uruguay.
The delegate of Uruguay would like to raise a point of information to the delegate of Panama that more than 2,700 migrants are in the borders of Panama with Colombia, of which only 1,200 remain in shelter. Others are expecting the construction of more shelters, but it is still not done. What does the delegate of Panama have to say about this?
The delegate of Panama would like to reply to the delegate of Uruguay by stating that as the widely implemented law, the Social Security and Welfare Scheme of 2008, as delegate has mentioned in the speech, this law provides humanitarian assistance to all the migrants coming now and in the future. As the delegate has said about the Cubans are the major migrants for the country, and the and the government aims to provide more humanitarian assistance mainly to all the South American countries, including Cuba.
Are there any points of information on the floor? Yes, the delegates of Canada.
The delegate of Canada would like to raise a point of information to the delegate of Panama by asking that what is the minimum wage given by the government of Panama for the migrant workers, and is it satisfied for them to fulfill their basic and their daily needs?
The delegate of Panama would like to reply to the delegate of Canada by stating that under the implemented law, the Inter-American Commission for Human Rights, it has 25 laws, and one of the laws provides national minimum wage. The national minimum wage ranges from 100 balboas to 300 balboas for all the migrants and citizens of the country equally. And a pension of 175 balboas has been provided to all the senior citizen migrants in the country.
Thank you, delegate.
The delegate once again thanks the chair.
According to the speakers list, coming up next is the delegate of Australia.
The delegate seeks permission.
Permission granted.
The delegate of Australia thanks the chair for providing an opportunity to speak on this dais. Migration is an expression of human aspiration for safety, dignity, and a better future. Respected chair, honorable dignitaries, and delegates across the globe, good afternoon. As we move into an ever-economizing world, protecting the rights of migrant workers to social security is important, not only to ensure the equality of treatment, but also to extend the coverage to the currently unprotected population. The delegate is proud of the fact that Australia is ranked 6th in the world in terms of migrant intake and is working towards extending social security to all of its migrants. Today, Australia's migrants enter Australia via two programs: the Migration Program for Family and Skilled Migrants or the Humanitarian Program for Refugees. The planning figure of immigration in 2017 hit a 124,967 million migrants, with the majority of them being from the skilled stream. The delegate is aware of the racially discriminating white Australia immigration policy that was followed from 1901 to 1973. However, in 1973, this was replaced by a very sophisticated means of visa categories. Under Australia's current migration program, anyone from any country can apply to migrate, regardless of their ethnic origin, gender, or color, provided they meet the criteria set out by the law. Australia's approach is outlined in the SAAI in social protection, that is the strategy for Australian aid investments in social protection. This strategy is meant to help migrant workers deal with daily stresses, address risks, inequality, vulnerability, and poverty. Australia's aid investments pursue three main objectives: improve social protection coverage in the Indo-Pacific, improve the quality of social protection system, and enhance a partner government's ability to make appropriate decisions on choices while working to civilize its own country. The delegate of Australia urges all member nations to work together through a high priority of social policy, as the well-being of millions of migrants and their families are at stake. The delegate of Australia would like to conclude by stating that the delegate is aware of the distressing political conditions in Australia and pleads member nations for support in the form of infrastructure developmental strategies. The only sure weapon against bad ideas is better ideas. The delegate once again thanks the chair.
Is the delegate open to any points of information?
Yes,
How many?
2 in total.
Is there any point of information on the floor? Yes, delegate of Germany.
The delegate of Germany would like to raise a point of information to the delegate of Australia that a third of Australian migrant workers are paid less than half minimum wage. What is the government of Australia doing to ensure that there is equal treatment for all the workers?
Yes, delegate of Namibia.
The delegate of Namibia would like to second the point of information raised by the delegate of Germany by adding, gross underpayment, harassments, assaults, and unpaid overtime hours are the main problems which are getting enrolled into the life of seasonal migrant workers in Australia. The delegate expects a proper answer from the delegate of Australia.
The delegate seeks permission.
Permission granted.
The Fair Work system in Australia that formulated the Fair Work Act in 2009, and it was amended in 2014 and 2016 to extend the rights of migrants equally to those of the Australian citizens. The minimum wage for the workers was increased from 17.7 Australian dollars in 2014 to 22.13 Australian dollars in 2016 for both the Australians and the migrant workers. Anyone still facing discrimination because of being an immigrant can approach the Department of Home Affairs of Australia.
Any other points of information on the floor? Yes, Delegate of Bhutan.
The delegate of Bhutan heard particular concerns about the risks of labor exploitation, particularly among migrant workers in Australia. Could the delegate of Australia answer how this risk is handled by the government of Australia?
In order to improve the delegate seeks permission.
The delegate can continue.
In order to improve the working conditions and inform the migrant workers of their rights, the AHRC, that is the Australian Human Rights Council, has now initiated a new project supported by Europe Grant and by the Danish Institute Management of Human Rights. The project aims to support the capacity of building of human rights institutions from the Pacific, where most of the minority workers originate. The delegate once again thanks the chair.
The delegate may proceed. According to the speakers list, coming up next is the delegate of Bhutan.
The delegate seeks permission.
The delegate can proceed.
The delegate thanks the chair. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity. Fellow delegates and respected chair, it's a great honor and pleasure for this delegate to be speaking among all the great excellencies present here today. Social security is by far the most popular federal government program, the best funds federal program, and the strongest remaining piece of a badly framed system and benefits. But it has been under relentless attacks by the countries who are not considerate about the rights of the migrant workers. Bhutan is largely a migrant receiving country with approximately 18,000 foreign workers in the country. It applies stringent regulations on the migrants. Bhutan imposed a ceiling of 45,000 foreign workers in the country. This ceiling is periodically adjusted depending on economic activities, national security, and national supply of the Bhutanese workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, the delegate of Bhutan is pleased, delighted, and can very proudly say that Bhutan has done an amazing job in maintaining its balance in the GNH. Bhutan is regarded as the happiest country in all of Asia. At the same time, Bhutan is maintaining its environment and cultural identity. Bhutan is ranked 19th in the GPI. Now, as far as immigration is concerned, Bhutan has adopted strict policies on immigration. In 2017, the National Assembly of Bhutan passed the Immigration Act in the Kingdom of Bhutan. The preamble states that this act aims to ensure that the kingdom remains free from the illegal immigrants and that it would retain control over the foreign workers for the security and prosperity of the nation. Furthermore, the foreign workers mainly come to Bhutan to work in the agricultural and the mining sectors. The royal government of Bhutan implemented the Bhutanese nationality law to protect such migrant workers. Bhutanese nationality law is a law governing the acquisition and the transmission of the workers. This act aims to ensure that it emphasizes and it analyzes the Bhutanese culture, and because of its emphasis on the Bhutanese culture, this act is also referred to as One Nation, One People Act. At last, the delegate would like to conclude by saying that labor migration is a common phenomenon within both the developing and the developed countries. Labor migration presents both challenges and opportunities in today's globalized world. Labor migration presents a crucial poverty line in today's globalized world. At individual and household
The
level,
delegate is requested to please conclude. The time limit is exceeded.
at individual and household level, it impinges upon the diverse conditions of the people in many ways. So, providing better security and protection to the workers is the call of the hour. The delegate once again thanks the chair.
Is the delegate open to any points of information?
Yes.
How many in total?
2 in total.
Are there any points of information on the floor? Yes, the delegate of Morocco.
The delegate of Morocco would like to raise a point of information to the delegate of Bhutan. What is the delegate's statement on the policy of focusing migrant workers to address in the traditional clothing of Drukgyal? Doesn't this deprive of their cultural rights?
Yes, the delegate.
Under personal privilege, the delegate of Bhutan would request the delegate of Morocco to repeat the question.
The delegate of Morocco is requested to please repeat the question.
The delegate of Morocco would like to raise a point of information to the delegate of Bhutan. What is the delegate's statement on the policy of forcing migrant workers to dress in the traditional clothing of Drukgyal? Doesn't this deprive the migrant workers of their cultural rights?
Yes, delegate of Bhutan.
The Royal Government of Bhutan and the Ministry of Labour and Human Resources of Bhutan publishes and they updates the detailed regular records of all foreign workers in Bhutan. The number of recorded foreign workers in the country were 49,489 as of August 2017.
Are there any points of information on the floor? Yes, the delegate of Panama.
The delegate of Panama would like to raise a point of information to the delegate of Bhutan by stating that, according to the report of the Ministry of Labour of Bhutan, about 47,000 people have migrated to Bhutan, in which 99% of them are males. Why is there such a big gap of big gender gap between?
Yes, the delegate of Germany.
The delegate of Germany seconds the point of information said by the delegate of Panama and urges to have a strong answer.
Yes, the delegate of Bhutan.
The delegate of Bhutan would like to reply to the point of information posed by the delegate of Panama and Germany by saying that in a recent meeting of the Royal Government of Bhutan, the minister, Mr. Wangdi, stated that we are more than eager to improve the conditions of our migrant workers. The delegate of Bhutan assures the committee and the chairperson that in future and in present, the Bhutan is trying to amend laws by which the gender equality can be balanced.
Thank you, delegate of Bhutan.
The delegate once again thanks the chair.
The next speaker is the delegate of Canada.
The delegate thanks the chair. Migration is an expression of human aspiration for dignity, safety, and better future. It's a part of a social interdependence, a part of the very makeup of our human family, quoted by Patty Haslew, the Minister of Employment of Canada. Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very bright afternoon to one and all. Canada, the second largest country in the world with a GDP of 1,793 trillion and with a per capita of 49,775 Canadian dollars, ranks among the highest in international measurements of government transparency, education, and the protection of rights of workers, including the migrants. Canada has been a major participant